Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sporting Kansas City Show on your home for SKC Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you download your video content. We appreciate you subscribing, liking, listening, letting your friends know about it. We are presented, as always, by wonderful Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. I'm Nate Bukaty, joined on my left by Allie Trost. Allie, how are you?
I'm well, Nate. The constant weather changes, though. Not a fan, but we're doing well.
We're all battling the allergies right now and all the other things.
Heads pounding.
Life in the Midwest is what it is. And we are joined also by Connell McCourt back in action here. We went to the bench. Jacob Peterson unavailable today. You're our first choice off the bench, though, Connell. I hope you feel the love here. How are you, man?
I'm good. Made up and stretching. Every week waiting on this call.
He's a playmaker, game changer.
Running up and down the sidelines in one of those pennies, getting yourself loose.
Yep, stretching, do all the...
All right, get up. Come on. Let's see it. No,
Now, let me ask you a question. Are you the type to wear your jersey underneath all the warm-up gears, or do you have to come over to the technical area, take everything off, go shirtless, and then put the jersey on after that?
I sleep in my jersey, mate.
That's right.
Always prepared
Ready
to be called upon, when the bat sign is put into the sky at night, and I've been told
when the bright lights here
needed.
in the...
I step off the bench and...
There's these little quirks in soccer that we all have, things that we like and don't like. I've talked to you guys both about my opinion that the one rule in soccer that I would change if I was given the power is that whoever earns the penalty must be the one to take it instead of getting to hand it off to your designated penalty taker. It should be like free throws in basketball. But also, it blows my mind that we have to take all this other stuff off and then put a jersey on to go out onto the field. Why not just wear the jersey? Well, that could cost you 30 seconds of time before you get subbed into the game. Don't we want to be ready to go?
Anybody? People like to get, I don't know, they don't want to get it all sweaty when they're shitting about.
Every player is different. Like, they all have their preferences. And I don't know. I mean, I'm right there watching all that go down every game. Kitman's pretty fast. I don't know if they're losing much time.
But he's also probably like, I don't want to wash all of these kids.
Right.
Everybody's not playing, so keep your jersey,
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, maybe they're doing that for Kitman.
Yep,
it's like, hey, I never got in the game. My jersey's good to go. Just hang it back in my locker. Never thought about that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's consideration for Kitman. You know what? I'm here for that.
It's the green initiative,
Why do we need sporting sustainability. That's what we're all about over here.
But maybe it's also you don't want to be sweaty, and then you're sitting on the bench in your sweaty kit, and then you go out there. Is that?
And you have to come on.
Superstitions. It feels good to just get like a fresh top on.
Look good, play good, right?
You're not selling me on this still. I just think, come on, let's go. The coach might be calling for you to come in the game right now. Hang on a second. I got to take my jacket off. I got to take this thing off. Got to put my jersey on.
I'm playing devil's advocate to a certain extent because, as I mentioned, I sleep in my jersey.
You sleep in your jersey, ready to
wake up in it.
Kitman's washing that thing every week, no matter what.
Okay, so we got a busy show coming up for you today. Maybe we'll find out. Speaking of sweat, we're going to talk to Ben Sweat.
Wow, that's why he's the pro.
Sure, that's why I'm a dad 3 times over. You're gonna be there soon, buddy. Your son already getting some love on camera on the Cap Fed True Blues, before the game.
Yep.
So we're gonna please tell us real quickly again, Oisin, right? That's how we say it. How do we spell it?
Oisin.
Okay.
Oh, there's a little fat on the I.
And that's Gaelic.
Yeah, it's Gaelic, yep.
And it means little deer.
Little deer.
Where did you come up with that one? Where did you?
We were just looking through an Irish book of baby names.
It was always going to be an Irish name.
Yeah, always, yeah. It was, but there was a couple that it was keyed down to, but then there's some that are even harder to pronounce and Tiernan and Phelim and all these ones were thrown out, but Oisin is what we decided on. So.
Do you speak Gaelic?
Try to, just like the Duolingo and stuff, and then a couple of my friends here are fluent, so we try to keep it.
Did they teach you Gaelic in school as a kid?
But you're a kid. You just want to go out and play football, or you don't want to learn it.
What about Oisin? Is he going to grow up speaking more than one language?
Yeah, well, I always have the Irish TV channels on, so it's constantly speaking it in the background. So just hopefully
they speak Gaelic on the Irish TV a lot.
Certain ones.
Okay.
Like there's a TG Cahir, which is TG4 in Irish. They have constant all day, every day is Gaelic. So
we'll put down money. What's the first word going to be? What if he opens his mouth and it's Gaelic?
He actually said Hagrid the other day.
Hagrid?
Hagrid, you know Hagrid from
Harry Potter is all I know, yeah.
So
half giant, half man.
Yep. So Hagrid is his first word. So
Did he really say that, or did you just like he just
sounds that resemble it?
Yeah, so we're going down.
Yeah,
Hagrid was the first name. Is that a Gaelic name?
I don't believe so. That's just Robbie Coltrane's character from Harry Potter. So.
I never thought of him as an Irishman in the books or the show, but I do a Hagrid. I read Harry Potter books to my children, and I do the voices. I've got a Hagrid voice.
Oh,
but
yeah?
I'm not going to do it for you now. You're going to have to give me a couple of drinks before you can.
Well, let's crack one of these open. Like
it's going to take more than three
here.
of these Michelob Ultras to get me into my Hagrid voice right now. So Ben Sweat, by the way, is going to be joining us on the show coming up in a little bit. We'll find out when he's on the bench. Is he jersey on, jersey off? Is anybody jersey on anymore? I don't feel like anybody is. So we'll, other than Connell McCord, who sleeps in his jersey, of course, we're going to recap a frustrating game at home against Nashville SC, and then preview a matchup against LAFC coming up this weekend as well. So we definitely have a lot to get to through the course of the show today. But guys, let's get to it first. Sporting Kansas City fall to Nashville SC. Sporting Kansas City 1, Nashville 2. Quick thing as well. I actually appreciate the fact that they're an SC instead of an FC because it's Major League Soccer that we play here, and so I like the team that's still willing to be a soccer team in the United States. But they're a good team. But when Sporting Kansas City jumped up 1-0, I was thinking this was looking like a really good night for the home side. Didn't turn out that way in the second half. Allie, what was your biggest takeaway from the game?
Well, number one, of course, is just 2 goals conceded in the second half after getting that lead in the first half off of set pieces. You know, this Nashville team going into this game, and even going back to last season, they've been a really good team on set pieces, and so that's something that you prepare for all week long. And then for both opportunities, both goals to come from set pieces, I think that just puts a sour taste in your mouth, knowing that that team was so dangerous in those areas. And then, manager Peter Vermees said it after the game, the mentality defensively on those set pieces, he wasn't happy with it. The players weren't happy with it. That's something that they'll go back and work on moving forward. But, it's always hard when you look back and you feel like you could have done something differently, and that a team didn't just go out and score a worldie against you. Those are a little easier to swallow at times. When you feel like you could have done more, that's when it hurts a little bit more. But yeah, I'd say those are the big takeaways. And then a little bit of I feel like this has been another theme this season. Sporting got a little unlucky at times. I mean, they had some really good opportunities to either go ahead 2-0 in that game or to come back and find that equalizer late in the game. Daniel Shallowy hits one off the post. Graham Zusi hits the side netting, and I thought it was in. I was reacting as if I was about to tweet out something like another just absolute banger from Graham Zusi at Children's Mercy Park, and it was just so close. And I think for Sporting Kansas City, they haven't had, and this is not to come up with an excuse. We're looking at a record right now that they know needs to improve and aren't happy with, but there have been some really unlucky moments throughout the beginning of the season for this team, whether it's been in terms of goals against or opportunities that don't go their way in the attack. So I'd say those are my 2 main takeaways, was just the set piece goals, of course, and then just getting a little unlucky up top.
And look, it sounds a bit too easy to put it on luck, but a lot of it, as you said, they're the moments that turn the game. Like, I watched the game again, watched it over, and my main takeaway from the second time was we're not far away. We're not far away from putting together a perfect game, like coming out, executing the game plan, getting 3 points. It's moments in the game that change what's going on, and look, it hasn't been going our way. Like up in Chicago, we've had a couple of away games that arguably we could have got something out of. We could have taken something away from, but it just hasn't went for us. I mean, their second goal ricochets off 2 different players and just drops straight to his feet, the Nashville player's feet. So how often does that happen? There's loads and loads of variables that went into it. Obviously, you come out of the game, you lose, you don't get any points, so the blame game starts. People start pointing fingers at certain players, and it's really just they're a decent side. They are a good team. We're not. They used to being away from home. They haven't had a home game this year. They're going to go and take points off other teams. I think if that's a different team we play, that the game that we played on Saturday, I think we come away with 3 points, at least a point. Watching that over again, I mean, you come up against Joe Willis, inspired form. The header that comes in from Daniel, he just makes himself big. 90% of the time, that's a goal. 9 times out of 10. You have other chances. Say Daniel hits the post. just all those wee things. If you put those together, we're not far away. Sporting are not far away from a decent performance, getting 3 points, and as I said, it's not going to get much easier this week coming.
Yeah.
But
next couple of weeks, I mean, Columbus Crew and LAFC both ranked top 2 in the league in terms of expected goals scored. So, I mean, they are offensively, firing on all cylinders, which is a dangerous position to be in.
And just you come away from that game like you're almost like, how did we not at least get a point out of that game? Like,
you've got the stat page up there, Connell. Does it? What were the expected goals?
Expected goals for us actually surprised me. It was like 1.8. Wasn't it?
I thought it was something like 1.7 to 2.7 in favor of Nashville.
But when you look into that, so the Daniel Shallowy chance, the ball comes over, all he needs to do is beat the keeper. He makes himself really big and makes a decent save. That was like 0.1 expected goals. I don't know how they
figure that. Yeah.
Because, as I said, 9 times out of 10, that's a goal.
Yeah.
The other one creeps in, hits the post. And as I said, luck is too easy to just blame it all on that. But when you're not getting the rub of the green, it just seems like everything's going against you. And
I'm not married to the expected goal stat personally. I think that it's a stat. And
it's helpful.
It tells you something, but it doesn't tell you everything. A stat that stood out to me, and Jacob Peterson and I were talking about it afterwards, 19 shots conceded at home. You just don't see that very often with a Sporting Kansas City team. And I do feel like my initial reaction watching a lot of games this season has been that the luck has gone against Sporting Kansas City more often than not so far this year. I remember specifically Johnny Russell talking to you, Allie, after the game. I think it was the RSL game. And I don't even remember what the circumstance was, but he said something like, it's about time we got a bit of luck.
Well, it was his goal, right?
Yeah.
His goal came off of
right
kind of a lucky bounce, and he kind of laughed, and you could sense the relief in his voice. He was like, it was about time we got, kind of a lucky bounce like that in our favor. And of course, that ended up being a massive moment as they ran out with the 1-0 win. But, it just seems like they haven't had many of those.
And so I agree with that, but I also do believe in life you make your own luck. And if you find yourselves in more situations where the ball can bounce your way and you're more ready to pounce on those opportunities when they happen, you seem to get lucky more often. And I think that was what I heard from Peter Vermees when he really challenged the mentality of the team on those set-piece goals, because they were just kind of balls that bounced. That's what happened in the last game in Vancouver as well. And I think that maybe part of his attitude is you just have to be dead set, desperately determined that this ball's not getting through. And maybe that's pie in the sky, and maybe that you could look and break down the film and say who was going to get there and block it. I don't know. But the 19 shots conceded is the part that I do think is the red flag that says, okay, this might have been a good enough performance to get a result, but if you're giving up that many shots at home, you're not doing the things you need to do to win, flat out win games and take the luck out of it, which is what Sporting have been so good at Children's Mercy Park when they've been good. And as I look at it, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, we spent time talking to Roger Espinoza and Remy Voltaire and Peter Vermees today here out at training, and I asked them all about this. The problems I see are in the midfield. That's where the game has been won and lost for Sporting Kansas City as long as I've been watching them. They boss the midfield. They get their foot on the ball. They don't turn the ball over. And when the other team has the ball, they all know exactly where to be at all times to win the ball back and to cover things. And I just feel like, look, this is going to sound like an excuse, but as I just look at the team right now, they're missing a 6. They're missing a 10. Well, Uri hasn't played.
Yeah.
Gadi Kinda hasn't played. Other guys can play those roles, but even in those situations, nobody's played those roles on a consistent basis, game in and game out. You had Roger Espinoza playing the 6 this last time around. We've seen Remy play there. There seems to be like a constant moving position there. And then at the dual 8s or whatever you want to call it in this system, sometimes Cam Duke's in there, sometimes Felipe's in there, sometimes Remy's up there, sometimes Roger's up there. And all of those guys have their strong qualities, and I think all those guys, are good soccer players. But when this system's humming, each guy knows where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to cover if Graham Zusi goes up the field. And there's little nuances and tweaks to that system depending on who your opponent is, right? Where the danger comes from and what your responsibilities are in this game. And it's almost like you got to know the basics of the whole system and how everybody works together like the back of your hand before you can even start making those little tweaks. And I just don't see it coming together right now. And because of that, I see too many chances being created. The back line under too much pressure sometimes. Not enough chances being created through the middle of the field for the offense sometimes. And I think it can get there, but at some point you just got to have a consistent run of guys knowing what their responsibilities are. For me, when I look at this team's problems, that's where they start. What do you guys, what do you think of that?
Well, and I think Nashville SC gave Sporting a difficult game, and Remy Voltaire kind of gave us a little glimpse into this during his media availability today, saying that Hani Mukhtar, the attacking midfielder for Nashville, kind of played that free man type role behind the midfield. And so he was, Remy even said there had to be a little bit more communication with the midfield and the back line to cover for him because he's a very dangerous player.
Yep.
A lot of what Nashville does offensively runs through him. Another player was Randall Leal, who in the first half had far more touches in dangerous areas than he did in the second half. And the tactical adjustment, bringing Felipe Hernandez into the match versus Cam Duke, who was, having the whole time in the first half, I'm watching Peter Vermees pretty much trying to puppeteer Cam Duke because they're trying to find that solution in real time so that he's not allowing Leal to have as much space and so much joy going forward as Jacob was pointing out in the match. So I think that there were some real-time adjustments that they were trying to make because of what Nashville was showing them. But I would agree with you in that it has been an issue all season long, and it really does kind of go back to that consistency. And one player that I think we're going to start seeing the technical staff try to get a little bit more consistency with in terms of their position on the field is Remy Voltaire. I mean, Peter Vermees has said, even going back to last year, they see him as more of an 8 versus a 6. He, of course, can play both positions, but he brings them a lot of great things in the attack. And, I mean, when you see him firing a shot off from the top of the box, it's easy to understand why. I mean, he's very clinical at this finishing. And so if they are able to consistently get him in that more advanced role, and then whether that's Roger coming in at the 6 if Uri's not ready to go, Felipe Hernandez versus Cam Duke, still not really a clear timeline on Gadi Kinda's return, but even just maybe getting one player in a consistent role. I'd be curious to see how much how much the midfield will be able to build on just having one consistent player in that role, because on the left-hand side too, another thing that we talked about going into the season is you've also got new players in at the left back role. You've got a new player in at that attacking midfielder, dual 8-10 role, whatever you want to call it, on the left-hand side. So Daniel Shalhoub's trying to figure out that right, kind of balance and that continuity and the chemistry on the left-hand side with two new players. Right. That was not the case last year. So there's just a lot of moving parts, and seeing how those all impact the game and trying to account for some of those things in real time. I think it's tough. And
I felt for Cam at the weekend, honestly, because he wasn't even playing bad. It was just that needs must. They needed to stop the service to Leal.
Yeah, because he'd released to Davis, and then Leal's just free man.
Everything was going through him. Everything that they were doing going forward was going through him. So they just needed to make a tactical adjustment. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for him, he was the guy that had to go. But even for Roger, Roger was going into that game, I'm sure, thinking, right, I'm playing a bit further forward. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then next thing, Uri goes down, and it's all right, you're playing the 6 now. So it just changes the whole dynamic. Everything you were planning that whole week is just kind of thrown up in the air. And look, I hate to always talk about the elephant in the room, but you're missing your best striker at the minute. We're not going to have him all season. You think if he's there and if a couple of those chances, that you need a clinical striker in there. Even when you're not playing well, even when the team isn't firing on all cylinders, you need to have someone there that can just score out of nothing, pull something out of the bag, and that's kind of what Polito was doing last year. But with him not available, it just seems like we need some of the other strikers to just get going. And honestly, I'm not worried. I think as soon as the likes of Daniel or Kyrie score, I think that's it. It'll be fine. As soon as one comes, it's like it's a habit, especially with Daniel. As soon as he scores, he'll start scoring.
And the other thing too, and I think this is maybe something else that made that result a little frustrating, was the fact that Sporting did get out to that early lead. I think we talked about it in pregame how important that first goal would be, because Sporting's been in a lot of positions this season where they go down early first, and that impacts how you now have to play as the team fighting to get that equalizer or fighting to get that game-leading goal, and it impacts how the opposing team then comes out and plays you, because they've got that lead. And so trying to get that first goal, and then especially at home, like you said, Nate, 19 goals conceded, too many set piece opportunities for Nashville SC, just things again that you can't give a team that has that much talent up top and has proven to be a very opportunistic side.
Yeah, so look, for Sporting Kansas City, there is time to sort some of these things out. And that's one of the things that Roger Espinoza spoke with us about today. He's like, I actually get frustrated because a lot of times it seems like it takes a team 20 games into the year before they start winning anything, and then they go on to win MLS Cup. And we saw it last year. The two teams that played for MLS Cup were not teams that we were talking about through the course of the year because they were playing so well.
Portland didn't turn around until September or something.
I'm making an analogy to Kansas basketball here, but that Kansas basketball team, it was like all of a sudden they discovered some form right going into the postseason that they rode all the way to a championship. When you play in a single elimination tournament like the NCAA tournament or MLS Cup, sometimes it's just about putting things together at the right time. So all is not lost for this team. There is a long way to go in this season. Certainly there are problems that need to be addressed, and I don't think anybody is hiding from that. I mean, you saw Peter Vermees in the comments after the game and all of that, and we're just going to have to see through the course of this season how they sort those things out as time goes on. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to look forward to this game against LAFC coming up. We're going to see an old familiar face, Elie, playing with LAFC. We heard Roger talking about that today, and of course Carlos Vela is back in action for them as well, which makes them a dangerous team always. But coming up next, we're going to talk with Ben Sweat, left back for Sporting Kansas City, right after this on the Sporting Kansas City Show.
As devoted Sporting KC fans, we know you travel well to support your club and its boys in blue. So, before you travel to the next away game, or anywhere for that matter, check out Kansas City International Airport's new terminal progress at buildkci.com.
And we are back on the Sporting Kansas City Show on your home for SKC Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you stream your video content. We appreciate you joining and listening. And, of course, please rate, subscribe, do all those things you can to let people know about the show. We're presented by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. And we are joined now by a man who might rival Graham Zusi for greatest head of hair on the team. And there are many other superlatives we can give him as well, but for some reason that always stands out to me. Ben Sweat, left back for Sporting Kansas City, joins us now. Ben, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm really good.
How do you feel about me labeling you that way? I mean, do you rank your hair versus other guys on the team as to who's got the best the best
I don't
going?
I don't know. I don't know how we line that up. I mean, I would love to find that out, but I've been growing it out. I've always wanted to grow it out, and I finally did it. I haven't cut it since last November, so I'm letting it go, trying to get the flow.
What led to this being the time that you decided, you know what, I'm going to be like Elsa from Frozen and let it go?
I had
dad talking right there, sorry.
Last year, tearing my ACL had a lot of time to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. So I haven't cut it since, and I don't think I'm going to cut it till I get it a little bit longer.
You're going to get all the way to the man bun stage, you think?
I don't know. I don't know if I could rock the man bun, but at least get like a nice flow down here, and then we'll go from there.
Sporting's wingbacks rocking the man bun. I kind of dig it. Before we get into some of the ACL injury stuff, what is the worst hairstyle that you've ever had? Were you ever like in the frosted tip stage back in early 2000s?
Elementary school, I had the bowl cut.
Oh.
You did?
We had the bowl cut. And I had blonder hair, believe it or not, if I could find a picture.
You grew up in like what? Florida?
Yeah.
So I feel like the blonde makes sense.
So I had a bowl cut, and then my little brother and I, we were 6 and 4, 7 and 5, and our cousin, while our parents were out of town, shaved our heads. And our blonde hair was gone forever. So
oh my God!
It was gone after that. It never came back. Yeah. So my mom,
wild.
she holds it against us.
Isn't that funny? I was blonde as a kid. By the time I was in high school, I was brown hair. All three of my kids started blonde, and they're all migrating towards darker hair as time goes on. Yeah. So, once you cut it, they might not ever get it back.
They might not get it back.
Mine was opposite. My hair was like black when I was born. I was like all my features.
What's the worst haircut you ever had, Allie?
I went to a place and I had them cut it like shorter in the back than longer in the front.
Yeah.
Like, why? I do not know.
Yeah.
Didn't look that great.
Mullet.
I was so anxious about it for weeks and weeks because it's like middle school. You're already sensitive enough about all the things in life. So that would probably be my worst. Then it made my ponytails look weird. Yeah. It was just bad.
I definitely had the frosted tips I was the best man in 3 weddings in my life, and I had frosted tips for one of them. So those pictures pictures will live in infamy in the wedding.
it.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, it looked like a boy band type thing.
Yeah.
And also did the Vanilla Ice haircut when I was in high school with shaved sides and
then,
all that stuff. Yeah,
right.
so
I think I need like a side by side of like all the years of. I've already pulled. We were gonna do something with like Zusi and Roger with like their past hairstyles, which are just fantastic.
It seems like it's a way of self-expression on on the soccer field, guys. Like it's a way to stand out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially nowadays with haircuts and guys style them a certain way and then coloring them. It's a big thing.
Okay, so we got Ben Sweat here. You referenced the ACL tear, and I wanted to talk with you about this. I'm an ACL tear veteran. That's probably where our similarities as athletes stop. But I tore my ACL playing basketball when I was 30 years old. Luckily, married to a physical therapist, and she was on me about rehab.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad because I've 16 years later, I still play soccer with no knee brace and all that stuff. But it was a tedious process.
It's long, very long.
What stood out to you the most, and maybe what was the part of the therapy that was the most aggravating or frustrating?
I would say probably the first 3-4 months where you really can't do anything, and all you're trying to do is just build your quad back. I mean, I couldn't believe how quick I lost my quad. It was like significant. So the first 3 months where you really can't do any crazy movements, everything you're doing, walking upstairs, you really have to be cautious with. And it was frustrating, and it taught me a lot of patience. I'm very impatient, but it taught me some patience. But yeah, I would say those first 3 months was very difficult.
I can specifically remember sitting on the floor, and the first thing they told you to do is just fire your quad, just like flex it, and staring at it, going, why won't it move?
Oh, it was the craziest thing. I remember laying on my couch, and no matter how hard you squeeze, it was just flub. There was nothing, no contraction, and so it was tough. I had stairs in my house, so going up and down the stairs, that was difficult. It's just difficult to slow down when I'm an active person. You know what I mean?
And when you're an athlete, your body is your that's what you use to do your job. So when it's not working, I mean, we all do every day, but still, that is what you need to do your job.
Yeah.
You also, I've seen just different articles where you've talked about the mental side of it too, and how hard that was, and that your wife could attest to that. I know that these things are not things that you go through alone. What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, she saw me suffer. She saw me emotional and break down randomly. I mean, because you would get over it for a period of time, that you have this injury, but then it would come back to you, and you'd realize, wow, I have 8 more months to go. Wow, I'm going to miss a full season. Wow, 1 whole year out of my career, 32 games I missed last year. I'll never get that back. So I wasn't afraid to express that and be emotional in front of her, and she saw the ups and downs with everything. But once you get back into a routine and you can get back into the swing of things with lifting, getting on the field, your happiness comes back. Everything kind of comes back pretty quick after that. But that was part of those first 3-4 months.
So when she sees you get back on the field, what was that like for your family?
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time I had my family all in town since 2018 when we got married, actually. And for all of them to be there and for me to go out, have a chance to score, have an assist, it was obviously the result is not there, but individually for them to see that, it was emotional. They were super happy for me, and I was happy for myself to get on the board with some of that.
One of the things I remember about the therapy too is I never had before gotten so excited about the smallest progress.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, I don't know if you felt this way, but each time you make a little bit of progress, that's enough motivation to then hit your rehab 2 more times the next day, right? Because you can see these tiny little incremental gains, right? You almost have to live in that while you're doing it.
That's what was so difficult. It was the smallest thing. I would grow my quad back maybe a millimeter, you know what I mean? They would measure it every week, and they would be that's amazing, that's awesome, but I'm just it's so slow. I want to do more, but you can't.
Yeah. So that patience that you said you've gained, where have you seen that thing that you gained from this kind of translate in other areas of your life?
I mean, I'm still an impatient person. Driving, it'll never help me with my driving.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
I'm a pretty slow driver, but I still I mean, it's giving me a whole new perspective, and I'm the last like part of my career. I'm 30 years old. I still want to play 35, 36, 37 years old, and I think it's given me a new perspective not to waste time, not to waste moments, kind of look at it and have more fun with it, and not get so caught up in the business aspect of it, and just remember that it's still a game that we all love. We love to play, and we've all been playing since we were so young. Because something could have happened. It could have been my last season last year.
Yeah.
God forbid, like something else could have happened. Mm-hmm. And I have gotten a little more patient with that, and I just kind of try to enjoy life a little bit more.
We're visiting with Ben Sweat. So speaking of that, you said you had a lot of free time.
A lot of free time.
So what did you pick up the ukulele? Did you pick up
did.
any? Did you really?
I did. I always want to play an instrument.
I just threw that one out there because
I actually bought. No.
I was like, how
all
did
these
you know
similarities.
that?
My mother-in-law gave me a ukulele for Christmas, and I like started learning how to play it. It was just a stupid habit. I just threw that one out there.
No,
Did you
that
really
was
do that?
That was literally the first thing I bought, and I couldn't squeeze my quad. I'm on the couch just playing riffs all day until I could get one song, and then one song turned into two, then three, then four, then five, and.
What's the coolest song you can play on the ukulele now?
I can play Pumped Up Kicks. I kind of like that one.
Oh,
kidding.
Yeah, Foster the People, right?
Foster the People.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think Sporting's got like a little band forming. Uri's good at a couple of instruments. Zeus told me he used to play the trumpet growing up.
I'm not at Yuri's level. Yuri's like
Yuri
it's
can
like
lead
Yuri's Premier League and then his championship first. I'm like second league.
You're
he
not
can lead the band. He'll be the main
I think
event.
Tim Melia said he played the French horn in the high school.
I mean,
band,
let's get it going.
We got a whole
I was second to last chair clarinet.
Yeah.
If you guys need any
Tim was in the
reinforcement.
band. We did talk about that recently.
So now when you play Pumped Up Kicks on the ukulele, and I assume you know all the words, you can sing along while you play it.
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
That's the next part now.
Yeah.
Now I could play like the whole riff for the whole
Yeah.
song, and then it's like putting being able to like sing and play at the same time.
Yeah. And
Okay,
then the
how's your
next-
voice though? Like,
Yeah.
you can
I mean-
you can say if you're a good singer.
No, I'm not.
So because that was my next question.
I was like, don't be shy.
There's you talking about championship, pro level, Premier League, all that stuff. There's a tier of people in front of whom which you are willing to sing a song. Like I'll sing songs for my kids.
Yep.
Except for my 2-year-old will not tolerate it. He screams at me if I sing to him. My other 2 kids like it. So I'll play for
Interesting.
them and sing, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Who would you sing these songs in front
My
of?
wife,
That's it.
my
Yeah.
dog, and my 2 cats. That's it.
There you go.
I love it.
That's
See,
it.
I
That's
like.
that's all I need.
I always say that my voice is like, it's not good enough to be like, oh, I'm going to go out and sing in front of people, but it's also not bad enough to where if I was singing and someone thought it was bad, they wouldn't think I was like singing poorly on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think mine's any good, but I'll sing at the top of my lungs in the car
respect
and in
that.
the shower.
Oh,
you know?
shower.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big shower guy.
Great acoustics in there.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I think I sound amazing in the shower.
Yeah.
All right. So a dog and 2 cats. Tell us about the pets real quick before we get into the soccer thing. What are we?
It
working
happened
with?
quick. We were in New York in a big apartment complex, and having pets in New York is a pain in the butt.
That
So
sounds like a nightmare.
we always wanted a dog, but we couldn't have a dog at the time. So we were like, all right, let's start with a cat. We got the cat, and then my wife, a few months later, is like, the cat needs a friend. Then we get another cat. And then we finally moved like away from the city, still an apartment complex, but there's like a lot more land. And we were like, okay, let's get a dog. And the dog happened. It happened like super quick. So then we ended up 2 cats, a dog, and that was.
What type of dog are we talking?
He's a boxer beagle mix. He's like 40 pounds. He's a cutie.
Okay.
Cutie.
So when you guys lived in New York City, what part of the city did you live in? You say you lived in town.
Well, we lived on the outside. So when I first got there, the facility was at Purchase. So most of the guys lived in like Stamford and then like White Plains kind of area.
Yep.
And then they built the new facility on the other side of the Hudson up in Orangeburg. So then most of the guys moved to like Fort Lee down to Hoboken. Only a couple of guys lived in the city.
Yeah.
Like in the true Manhattan, which all respect having to drive back and forth over that bridge. But we didn't want the chaos, and it was still chaotic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's so fast paced up there.
Yeah, and then you gotta commute to Yankee Stadium on game days. What was that trip like?
I mean, for us in Fort Lee, we were 4.5 miles. So,
Oh,
I mean,
that's
great.
sometimes it could be 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes it was 45 minutes, which
Yeah.
is crazy to think.
Yeah.
But
That's why. Well, I'm sure the dog at least is enjoying a little bit more space.
oh,
One in
we got
Texas
a
and then
big
now.
backyard. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
He's been spoiled now.
So you go from New York City to Austin to Kansas City. Like New York and Austin are two of the worst traffic cities I've ever been to in my life because Austin like exploded in population without the highways being able to catch up.
Yeah.
Do you love the lack of traffic here? Like, or does it?
Well,
do you even recognize it?
You forgot I was in Miami first.
Oh, yeah,
so I was
that's
on 95
right.
traffic
Oh, my
as well. So it was like New York chaos, Miami chaos to Austin chaos.
Okay, I get why you're an impatient driver then. Like,
Oh,
you're in
my
the worst
gosh.
places to drive.
So to come here and I think I've been in traffic one time and it was downtown. It's a blessing. I like it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, now something that we mentioned at the beginning that we haven't talked about yet, and I know we only have a few more minutes,
Yeah.
tattoos.
Yeah.
I know you've got one that's directly related to the injury, but you got into them last year, right?
All these were last year except for this one. This was the one on my wrist right here was my wife's and I are the moon phase of our wedding day.
Oh,
so we did
cool.
that back in 2018 when we got married.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is that? A waxing crescent? What is that? A waning crescent? I think is what that.
What is that? A waxing? I think it's a waxing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then is that the latitude of?
So my hometown, yeah.
Okay.
Latitude. So I did latitude north and south, and then longitude east and west. A word here. 22 is my number. This one I'll finish at the end of my career. And then I'll probably have another 3 coming on the way within the next month or 2 months.
So what like inspired you to like start getting into it?
I don't know. I think I've always liked them, but I've never just pulled the trigger on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like do one and you get a fever, and then you want to do 2, you want to do more. And
are you going to be Johnny Russell like?
no, I'll never have a sleeve, but I have 8 right now. I'll probably get up there.
Okay.
But I like the random location ones. So.
Well, hey, look, we'd love to spend more time with you. We're going to do this
Yeah.
again really soon. Congratulations on the recovery, the near goal, as you said, and the big assist in this last weekend. And
Yeah.
best of luck coming up in LA this weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you both.
Thanks, Ben.
All right,
Yeah,
that is
thank you.
Ben Sweat. We'll take a break. Back to wrap things up, we're going to talk about this LAFC game when we come back on the Sporting Kansas City Show. All right, and we're back on the Sporting Kansas City Show to wrap things up this time around on your home for SKC Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB, and, of course, wherever you get your podcasts and your video content. If you're watching the video, you can see that we are presented by Michelob Ultra, the beautiful cans of Michelob Ultra right in front of me. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Our thanks to Ben Sweat for joining us on the show in the last segment. He's got 8 tattoos. How many do you have, Allie?
0.
I'm 0.
I'm
What do you have?
inspired
I'm also
though now.
0, yeah.
We're through.
Oh, my gosh.
God, oh, my goodness.
See, it used-
Jordan Burrell, though,
Yeah.
if we count him, and he's behind the camera right now, has
Matty?
10.
Matty also has
Matty
11?
11.
We got 21 on Ben Sweat
Combined.
as a crew.
Yeah, but it
We're
took- it-
kicking his rear end.
takes 5 of us.
Yeah.
See, it used to be the rebel thing to get a tattoo. Now it's
Yeah.
like you're a rebel if you don't have
it's
a tattoo.
I know.
counterculture.
Yeah.
It was
yeah,
last year my family came in town for the Vancouver playoff game, and my younger brother was in attendance. He turns 19 actually this week, and he saw Johnny Russell and all of his tattoos. He was like, "Dad, I want to get some tattoos." And my dad's like, you're not going to look like that guy necessarily.
Sometimes it's just about knowing your lane, though. And, I want to be as cool as Johnny Russell, but I'm just not.
Right.
I want to be as cool as Jordan Burrell, but I can't pull it off. You know, you got to understand what things you can pull off in life and what things you can't.
Sometimes you have to be
I can pull off
realistic
dad
about-
jokes. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
in
I
my
mean,
life.
I drive a grey Nissan Altima. There's nobody queuing up round. Oh, Carl's really cool in these.
I'd say the one barrier to me getting a tattoo is just how indecisive I am. I've thought so hard about what that first tattoo would even be that it is completely just taken away my ability to look beyond that. I'm putting way too much on the first one, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I know exactly what tattoos I would get. In fact, if there hadn't been a rule in Scotland against being drunk and getting a tattoo at the same time, I might already have one.
Wow.
Oh.
But I was turned away. I'd get the Scottish lion and the Polish eagle, on each cheek. No, I don't know where I'd get them. That's part of the problem. I don't know where I'd get those 2 things. I thought about maybe on the rib cage here, something cool like that, because those 2 things I know I'll care about my whole life because it's my heritage. It's where my people are from, but it's not happening. It's just
Is
not
it
in
the
cards.
immense pain barrier that you're not willing to go through? or?
Life is pain. I can handle the pain. It's I don't know. It's. First of all, my wife is she's staunchly anti-tat. She doesn't, and I'm staunchly pro my marriage. So
That's a good way to be. That's a good place to be.
yeah. So that's probably the biggest thing. But also, I don't think I can pull it off.
I
just thought it wouldn't
honestly,
look good
I
on
don't
me.
think I
you
can
know?
put it off either.
Kyle,
I'm
you
not
should get
cool
one
enough.
right smack on the top of your head.
I was thinking about doing that, like on the back of the head, you know, like
Yeah, just getting like a 4-leaf clover.
no, just my face again.
Oh, you're
looking out. I'm always watching.
Or like
You know?
stand 10 feet back.
You're like Professor Quirrell if we're going to go with more Harry
Yeah.
Potter. It's really
Yes.
scary.
This show is
What-
really
Lord
just...
Voldemort on
What's
the
his
back. I
voice?
can't do his. I
You
don't
have
do a Quirrell.
No?
No.
Poor
I don't do a
stuttering
Quirrell.
Professor.
We have gone off
We have really
the rails
spanned just
on
so
the
many
show.
different themes.
Have you read the Harry Potter books?
Of course
Okay. Well, hey.
My
just-
gosh. Watch
I know.
the special that they had, the reunion.
What'd you think of that? I hated that.
I didn't
Oh my god, I
watch that.
cried like the whole time. It was
you
so
did?
good.
Here's my hot
I
Harry
loved it.
Potter take. Here's my
Okay.
hot Harry Potter take. Harry Potter would have been much better served to be like a Game of Thrones series on HBO than as a movie series, because those books are too long and involved, and the character development is too important to try to
I agree.
cram an entire book into a 3-hour movie. But the thing you can do with Game of Thrones is if each book was a season, you could actually treat it the proper way, and someday they need to redo
They
Harry
will.
Potter as a
They will.
television
Aren't they
series.
doing it? I
They'll
think there's already
do.
talk
I
of it,
think
isn't
they'll someday do some sort of remake, and they'll have the old characters that are, willing or able to come back in some way. But I agree with you. Unfortunately, I think
That
just
wasn't really a
it
thing
wasn't
yet.
a thing. Yeah.
they just made movies back then, and then once they realized you can actually do things like Game of Thrones, where it's an entire series, you can give it the depth and treatment. Same thing you do with Lord of the Rings, by the way. That could have probably been the same way.
What about the second? Have you seen the movies as well?
Oh yeah.
So the movies, the second movie and the third movie, obviously Dumbledore, Richard Harris dies after the second movie. But in the first two, you can like barely get a breath, and he's talking to Harry.
Yeah.
And the third one's just this new guy doing backflips, and that kind
mean,
of threw me off. Like,
Yeah, I do the old Dumbledore voice when I read
Richard
the books.
Harris voice.
Nate, will you do some of those?
Welcome to Hogwarts.
That's not bad. Not bad.
That's the voice that you need to use
Yeah.
for the whole broadcast.
Yeah.
This upcoming
It
game
is
against
time
LAFC.
for the sorting hat.
Was that Voldemort? Or?
Voldemort's much more nasty.
Oh,
and
oh.
the zest is longer. I did my. Why did I do those two voices and not Hagrid? I don't know. All
The
I know
Kansas
is
City
looking,
Wizards, you guys.
looking at Jordan Burrell right
Wow,
now.
the
he
Wizards?
is
The Wizards.
wow.
It all ties in.
It all.
Man, see, that's why this is actually on topic, ladies and gentlemen. Look, on the arc of a soccer season is much like the arc of a Harry Potter book. It starts at the beginning in the fall, and it winds through the winter and into the spring.
Right.
And all
we're
that.
we're on the Philosopher's
Yeah.
Stone. No, maybe we're on the Chamber of Secrets right now. Where we are in the season.
I'm not sure where we are.
That's the second.
But just like in soccer, MLS doesn't go by the traditional calendar of fall through the spring. It starts in the spring and ends in the fall, so we're all backwards anyway. But we're early on. This is the part of the book where the nemesis starts to show its face a little bit. The challenges seem overwhelming to young Harry Potter as he's being treated unfairly by some of the professors and some of his classmates, and he can't seem to catch a break, but he's going to sort his way through it, and in the end he's going to triumph. Is that the case for Sporting Kansas City this year? We'll wait to find out. You got to read the book. You got to watch every episode. And the next chapter in the episode, LAFC. What a transition that was.
That was
LAFC
like
coming
beautifully
up.
transition.
That's why I love the Harry Potter books are so beautifully woven. They take us on a journey of self-discovery, and the biggest thing about the self-discovery in Harry Potter is that what makes us who we are is not the natural ability that we're born with, or the way we're predisposed. It's the choices that we make. All right, and so Peter Vermees is challenging the mentality of this team right now and the choices that they make going into it. Do you think we're going to see a spirited, inspired performance by the team when they go out there to LAFC because of some of this? And it's not just, I don't think it's just Peter. I think that the leaders on the team are doing the same thing. Usually when you have a tough outing like this, you see a little bit of bounce back. You expecting that in LA?
Yeah, I am big time. I mean, look, it's probably on paper the toughest game in the league all season, away in LA against LAFC. It's going to be really hard, but this is where you see characters come to the fore. This is where the not the villains of the book, the protagonists of the book kind of come to the fore and show what they're made of. You're away, you're up against adversity. You've just come off a defeat at home. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of choice words, whatever, thrown around. People are angry. People don't like to lose. The fans care about the team. Johnny cares about the team. The team, what you can see, are kind of angry, and they're playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Hopefully they bring that energy, can channel it into some kind of performance against LAFC.
We saw that even today out at training. I mean, there's been a lot of at least in what I saw in this limited amount today on Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this week ahead of the LAFC match, guys are fired up. And Peter Vermees's message to the team wasn't just challenging the mentality. It was also challenging some of the guys who have been in the starting lineup all season, saying that your job is not necessarily secure just because you've been penciled in game after game so far this season. He's kind of putting the team on notice that changes will come if we don't start getting the job done. So I think all of those factors, you could see a really inspired Sporting performance on the road against LA. Kind of like you said, the toughest game just about for any team in the league right now. First place in the Western Conference. They've been fantastic and really productive in scoring goals as well. So it's going to be a tough task. Offensively, defensively, it's a difficult place to play as well. But it's also one of those games that if Sporting can go out and get a result, what that would do in helping to swing the momentum of where they're at this season, not having had a single result on the road so far in 2022, coming off of a really frustrating home loss, I think could do a lot of good for this team in helping turn the page and move on from what's been a really challenging start to the season.
Am I the only one that's going to get emotional watching Ukulele play in a different jersey?
In the serious black jersey that they were?
Oh, you son of a
Sorry,
gun,
I need to stop. Yeah, apologies.
No, I mean, and it's look, anyone who is a fan of Sporting Kansas City, I think you're a fan of Ukulele Sanchez. It's hard not to be. He's an incredible person off the field, and it's good to see him having success on the field this year for LAFC. It's definitely going to be weird to see him in a different jersey, and I'm sure it'll be weird for Ukulele as well. He cares about Kansas City and Sporting Kansas City and its fans so much, and we heard Roger Espinoza talk about it today. Mm-hmm. I would bet every guy in that locker room is happy for Ukulele, but it'll definitely be weird. I won't be on the road for the game this weekend. It's a national TV broadcast. You can tune into our local stuff on 810, but I won't be there to see all of it in person. So I'll be interested to talk to some of the guys after the fact and any other staff that are there to see him.
I'm sure it'll be emotional for him too. I mean, he really, really liked this place, and look, you see a lot of players come and go that come through the clubs, and he I don't think you'll meet anyone that he didn't make a good impression on. He really always seemed like he had a lot of time to speak to everyone. It also helped that he could play. He was a really good player as well, But he was always very, personable with people and stuff, and I think that matters to people as well. He left on very good terms. Obviously, everyone was sad to see him go. He was probably sad to go as well, but
he's the enemy now.
That just happens.
He's the enemy now this weekend. And Sporting Kansas City going against former players, it hasn't been great so far this season. Game-winning goals from Dom Dwyer, CJ Sapong, and Diego Rubio. They do not want that to be the case with either Latif Blessing or Ukulele Sanchez this weekend.
Time to turn things around for Sporting Kansas City. Tough place to do it at Los Angeles FC, 3 o'clock on Sunday. And as Ali said, you can hear the play-by-play on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and that's going to do it for us here today. So our thanks to Ben Sweat for joining us. Our thanks to Jordan Burrell for, he's been very frustrated, I could tell, by the last 12 minutes of the show. Maybe not, I don't know. But we did give him credit for his 10 tattoos, which puts us one up on Ben Sweat, who joined us on the show today. And our thanks to you for listening and downloading as always. We will see you next week right here on the Sporting Kansas City Show.